Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning into a very special edition of Factions of Freedom. This is actually a simulcast from the broadcast that I had earlier today with my great friend and co-host, Laurie Alexander, the host of the Underground Resistance Network channel. Now, we talked about Nephilim and the era of human-animal hybrids, but without spoiling too much, let's get to the show.
Everybody, and welcome to the Underground Resistance Network. My name is Laurie Alexander, and I'm joined tonight by my special co-host, EJ Clinton, Faction of Freedom. Hey, EJ.
Salutations, Laurie. Salutations, Underground Resistance team. How are you guys this morning, evening, whatever time you guys are listening?
Doing good. Like I said, I needed my EJ fix. I needed to get some sort of, I don't know. You and I always have good conversations, so I thought it was time.
It's definitely been, I feel like, things didn't really stop from 2016. I'm feeling like everybody else knows, things definitely did not end from 2016. It feels like it carried over, if not multiplied. And you're right. I mean, outside of talking to you and a few other people, we don't really talk about these things. So it's good. I do need me some Laurie time.
Yeah, things haven't definitely subsided. I mean, on the spiritual level, from 2016, I think we're just going to see it ramped up. I've told everybody, it's not even 2016. We're in the year 5777, the Hebrew calendar, and 7 being it's the year of completion. It's a Jubilee year. We're looking at the star alignment from, September 23rd, 2017, which looks like it's going to be Revelation 12. So there's so many things ramping up and so many things bombarding us. I think that's been my problem this last couple of weeks as far as, my physical health, because I feel that I truly can tell you guys that what we're experiencing is not only on a physical plane, but it's also a spiritual plane.
Oh yeah. That's kind of what the theme of a lot of my episodes into the leading into of this year have been, is kind of delving into the understanding of the spiritual side and how that actually does really affect us, and how that truly does. That's something we have to take into consideration, and how they are actually trying to combat it and use things like that. I mean, if you look at things like ELF towers, Gwyn towers, cell towers, all these types of things like that, spiritually, if you think about it, these types of things, this electromagnetic or electro, however you want to put it, this feeling, it traps you in. What happens whenever you turn your electricity off or your Wi-Fi off at the end of the day, and you sleep restfully, you reach REM sleep. So there's a lot of spiritual factors and a lot of mental and emotional factors that we got to look at, that they're bombarding us with 24/7, that definitely play a part in the things that we're looking at. And I think a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, in this actual episode, that's going to highlight that reality, that they don't care so much about our spirituality. They don't care so much about our humanity and our relationship with God. They just want to experiment on us.
Right. I mean, that's exactly what's going on. And, you and I, we had a great conversation way back when this channel first started. I don't know if you remember, it was, I think we named it technology. What was it?
Techno sorcery.
Techno sorcery. Yes. I was trying to find it actually on the other channel. Techno sorcery. That was an amazing episode that we did, talking about that our electronics have, our telephones, our computers, our TVs, Wi-Fi.
I had
portals.
I had on I guess an Organite specialist, somebody who frequently uses Organite, someone highly spiritual, and we kind of talked about what we consider the multidimensional ethereal aspects of this artificially intelligent energy that's powering all this techno sorcery, all this technology, like the mindset behind all this stuff, and how there's a natural field of energy, there's natural there's cosmic energy, you know, earth energy, however you want to look at it. There's you can connect to God, you can have your connection with source, and then there's artificial energy as provided by Tesla and all kinds of other things. So whenever I had him on the show, we were talking a lot about how we were given this identity to this artificially intelligent energy, this techno sorcery, and how it is just like a siren soul or a siren song that just lulls us into its
Right.
grasp. It's weird.
And I think they've definitely solidified that on the population when they changed the frequency of the music.
Oh yes, oh yes. I don't know if you're familiar with Billy Carson of Forbidden Knowledge, but apparently he came out with a song. I think it's 528 and 432 hertz. Apparently these are good meditative frequencies. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, you know, the fact that they have changed the frequency, uh, and I talk about this all the time on my show, how it messes with our connection to the universe, to God, how it messes with our transmission. It messes with the biochemistry. It messes with having that inner harmony within ourselves. Like there's a lot of different things we got to look at whenever, you know, understanding yourself in all of this new world order nonsense, because they're trying to make you lose yourself, really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with, when I say the frequency of the Earth, the frequency of the Earth is a set frequency, which does correlate between that and the human body
Mm-hmm.
in there. So when they have, messed with this frequency, it's messing with our ability to ground ourselves and to stay focused, to stay healthy, to stay, emotionally fit and sound. So, I mean, they know exactly what they're doing here. I mean, Lucifer was the most beautiful angel, and he was also a very musical angel. So it seems only is the god of the air, AER, or the air waves, AIR.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It makes completely total sense when you put that all back into a package and you take a step back and you look at all of that. I mean, it's going right along with the plan, um, to mess with our.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. And you know, I know it sounds definitely. I know it sounds hippie. I know it sounds new age esque. I know this sounds mystic. I know this sounds all kinds of strange. But if you think about it, you know, there's science that really does prove this.
Right, but that's what they do. That's the dynamics that they use. They use the new age. They use the hippie. They use, the whole, the Gnostic. That's how they use. That's what they use. For us to call them out for what they are, that doesn't make me. That doesn't make me new age. I'm well aware of the whole game. It's them that are using it. I'm just pointing it out. You're just pointing it out.
Precisely. And that's, you know, that's, if anything, all that we can try to convey to people, you know, is when we look at all this type of stuff, we have got to understand how they're trying to weaponize it, how we can weaponize it, how we can use these types of things to our advantage, and what that overall means as far as being effective in the long run. I mean, yeah, you know, we can sit here and say I'm ready for the revolution. When does it start? And then boom, you know, you go out there into the streets and then you get shot. You wasted your whole life for nothing. Or you could spend your time trying to prepare and, you know, put these roadblocks up, steps, you know, individually that make them stumble, or if anything, you know, make them fall into traps. It's a whole different type of thing. But it gets back to knowing the enemy and knowing how diverse their tactics are and what that causes you to do in response to it.
Exactly. Completely.
But I'm really excited for this episode. Whenever you
Yeah.
contacted me, I was super excited.
Well, you know what? You put up some really good stuff today on the page, the Facebook page, and I did share it, and I've been really looking at this stuff long and hard. Like everybody probably knows already, I'm friends with 68, and he does a lot of the transhumanism. He is my transhumanism guy that I go to. But I think that we get lost when we talk about transhumanism. I think we forget that we're also messing with the DNA and we're creating these hybrids. Uh, you know,
Now,
I know people. I know people say no, cloning humans is illegal, but that's just on the outside. That's just on paper. That's not what's going on behind closed doors, is it? Is it, EJ?
oh, dude, no way. This is stuff. And I say this all the time. You know, if you're a child of the internet like me, you grew up watching all those different YouTube videos where you heard about them growing human animal chimeras gestating underneath all of America. Well, we were all waiting for the picture, wondering when it was going to come. What do these things look like? Like, what does that mean? And you know, now that this stuff's coming out, you know, it for some people it's a shocker, but at the same time, it's an affirmation. This is stuff that's been happening for quite some time. It's wild to think about, but like you said before, we have to understand what that means for the soul, for the spirit, for our DNA, for how we transmit ourselves in this universe. And it's weird because as we said before, you know, this is stuff that's been going on for a while. I mean, for a strange question for, you know, the listener right now, do you think your meat was grown or cloned? Do you think it
Right.
was farm raised, or do you think it was grown in a test tube? Or do you think it was just a portion of your last meal that was grown somewhere, you see? And then if that's too strange for you to think about, we'll think about the thousands of cows that have been grown and cloned for someone else's benefit that you do know about. So if that's what they're doing, if they're just growing these steroid laden cows, how far would it be to, you know, actually put in the genetics of a human being? I mean, look at our food. It already has like fish DNA inside of it. So you know, we have, like we said at the start of the show, these are the days of Noah. We've got to understand what all this means.
Exactly. And for everybody wondering where this is going on, this is going on in the deep underground military bases. This is going on in the secret bases. But if you guys, EJ, can you pull up a web page for me?
I can try to. Yep.
Second, I got to remember what it's called. Uh, Crap. Yeah, here we go. www. www.clone.com.
CON what?
CLONAID, clonaid.com.
Clonade.
C is in Charles, L is in Lion, O. Go. This here is a cloning facility, and it is run by a man. Hold on a second. It's run by a man. What's his name? He runs a crap. Runs a cult.
Oh, okay. That's where we're going. Okay.
Oh, Rael. His name's Rael.
Ah.
Rael. Rael. And his cult, his religion's called Raelism, Raelism, or the Raelian movement.
I've heard of them.
Have you heard of them? Yes. Okay.
I've
Well,
heard
this
of them.
guy owns, or he used to own, I think he gave it to somebody else, a woman, but this guy owns this Clonaid, Pioneers in Human Cloning. And I want you, it says Clonaid is the world's leading provider of reproductive human cloning services. Eve, the first cloned baby, was born December 26, 2002, thanks to our team of highly skilled scientists. Since then, we've been able to help a number of patients have their own children through our cloning technology. We can help you if you're sterile and have lost hope of having a child you dreamt of, if you're a homosexual and deeply desire a child, if you're just lost or about to lose a beloved family member and would like to see an identical twin of that person begin a new life, if you have HIV positive and want to have a child that would be your genetic twin, or if you simply want to be cloned, whatever your reasons may be.
Wow. See, technocrats. These are technocrats. These are people that are doing things just because they think they can and they should.
And making buco bucks off of this. Do you know how much this costs?
Making some buku dollars off of this.
Cha-ching, cha-ching on these. Yeah. No, and you know, they're playing God. They're playing God. They're messing with the human genome. They are, and you know damn well that these guys behind the store are not just creating human. They're creating human animal.
Mm-hmm. Another, I was going to say real quick, if people want a good channel that kind of documents stuff that's being cloned, is Vrillix. You know, they're great with their videos and some of the stuff that they talk about as far as cloning. And another person that's
What's it called?
Vrillix, that's Vrillex. He makes really great videos of celebrities where they slip up and talk about their clonings, or where they talk about different cloning facilities and things like that. And if people want a prime example of what could be considered a clone or a double or something like that, and I know, you know, this is just Hollywood, this is the music industry, but look at Kanye. You know, he himself said after his little trip to that little rehab facility that his mind was wiped and that his memory was coming back. Well, if that's the case, who was that Kanye out there, the blonde Kanye out there carrying on doing whatever he was doing, you see?
Yes.
Kanye also revealed in his music video Famous, and we've talked about this before as well, his music video Famous, where he kind of incriminated some of the other people that were there, Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, Caitlyn Jenner, Ray J, all kinds of other random people that were there in the actual cloning facility, or having their people recloned. And there's all kinds of different things that come with that, with people being cloned, of cloning successful people, of influential people, and people want to think it's strange. I'll tell you this, you know, Hitler was focused on cloning towards the end of World War II, simply because he was trying to figure out a way to scapegoat all of this stuff, and he succeeded. I'll put it to you guys that way. And
the movie, the Boys from Brazil, is that?
Yes, it is. It is precisely. It is precisely the movie and book, the Boys from Brazil, where they talk about that and all of his cloning efforts, and how it obviously worked. You know, another thing.
Somebody in the chat room asked a very good question in the chat room. Do you think a clone has a soul?
Ooh, whoever asked this question, they are. You're spot on with I think everybody else's thoughts on what a clone is. That's a question I truly don't have an answer for. That's something I'm putting together in my own video.
When I was doing my research for the Antichrist video that I put out, which is available on the channel now, and I put it public because I think it's coming time that this information needs to be put out there. But I did a lot of researching on who I think it is, and then how they were going to go about creating the Antichrist. And I came across being known as the Golem, Golem, essentially a soulless vessel. I do believe that a clone is essentially a golem, a soulless vessel, and I do believe that it does not have a soul, and this allows the exchange or the implantation of the demonic spirits that are behind these people. And because if a person has a soul, that fights against that possession. Person, you might also say that person has a conscience. But if a person has no conscience, if that person has no moral ethic, when that demon goes in there, that physical shell doesn't fight against it at all. Anything goes. Sky's the limit.
Precisely. In so many different words. Precisely. Yes, you're on point. That's kind of one of the angles I've been trying not to take in my research at the start of last year. But now that so much stuff has been uncovered, I'll put it to you guys bluntly like this. All of these clones, all of these synthetics, all of these organic robotoids that they're creating, CERN will create the portal to where these demons will flood in from hell and then literally have the bodies to inhabit. They will have these soulless vessels that we're talking about right here to inhabit. I know it sounds strange, but if you backtrack from this episode up until, I don't know, the start of the podcast, this is basically some of the stuff that we've talked about. It sounds strange, but you know, I'll go out on a limb and say it. That's kind of where my research is pointing. These soulless people that we're creating, these vessels
Yes.
that we are, you know, ourselves, you know.
When they open up the portal, when CERN opens up that portal and those disembodied demons come back, those disembodied demons had bodies at one time, and they will search out to have another body. And guys, they will possess. They can humans, anything with life. They will possess humans. They will possess animals. They will possess animals when the time comes. And I've been told by some sources that they will even possess possibly
Plants.
plants.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's weird
you don't need a soul. You don't. That's what I'm saying. Is the soul? It just has to. The thing just has to be alive. It just has to be alive.
the more I'm starting to think on, and we should definitely jump back to these Nephilim, and them coming back. But one of the things I'm starting to think more on about all this RFID chip, mark of the beast nonsense, is they always say the life is in the blood, the power is in the blood, uh, the soul is in the blood. And we led in this actual episode talking about your biochemistry, how you emit your own signal into the universe, how you're supposed to connect with source, how you're supposed to walk with God, you know, how you're supposed to clear your body to have a stronger connection with him, and your soul as well. I think with these RFID chips and things like that, as we said before at the start of the show, I think what these types of things will do is they will severely hinder, as technology already has, the cell phones, iPhones, smartphones, ELF towers, Gwyn towers, et cetera, all these different types of technologies. They will literally sever us from knowing God. They will separate our soul from our body. We'll still have consciousness. We'll still have, you know, the right functions of our physically earthly shells, but the technology will sever our connection to God. And how does this transfer into the talk of Nephilim to transhumanism? Them trying to basically create these vessels and portals through which the spirits of old can come back. Well, it's because they have got to terraform. They've got to figure out a way in order for our bodies to be compatible, so to speak. Like they say in the days of Noah, all people knew is wickedness. The flesh was evil. What is happening now? I mean, these are simple terms to describe what's happening these days, and I know it sounds strange, but whenever we look at half of the cases with demonic possessions, hauntings, poltergeists, and things like that, and that's another thing, Laurie, I have for you for Paranormal Tuesdays is one of my cases, but whenever we look at all of this stuff, it's always energetically driven. You see, it's always people who are angry, upset, uh, negative, pissed off. You know, they pull in these types of entities, and then they use them, they suckle them, energy vampires, right? So if this is the case, if we're already aware of this reality with these negative energies and entities and how they interact, well, what happens whenever we maximize that on a global scale? You see, and I've talked about this before, the Schumann resonance and how that symbolizes our awakening. But then you also got to take into consideration the emotional impression that leaves upon the planet, basically putting out a signifier saying, hey, come look at all these emotions, come look at this energy. People are crying out. Yeah, a fingerprint, precisely a fingerprint. And so this is gonna pull in these entities who are already watching, if not more so. And then it's wild. It's wild.
Right. Well, there's somebody else in the chat room that wanted to know where this fits in biblically, what I'm talking about. Let me remind you guys. Okay. In the book of Jude 6 and 7, talk about the lake of fire, talks about the fallen angels, talks about the final hell. Matthew 25:41, but the place of the confinement of the demons, who are not Satan's angels, but the class of disembodied spirits, supposed by many to be the disembodied spirits of the inhabitants of the pre-Adamic earth, who, as they live, have liberty and opportunity, as in the days of Christ, try to re-embody themselves again in human bodies. They are wicked, unclean, vicious, and have power to derange both mind and body. Matthew 12:22, 15:22, Luke 4:35, Luke 8:26 through 36, 9. These are the scriptures that go along with it. We're talked about seducing spirits, which Paul warned in First Timothy. So it's throughout the Bible that we're talking about these unclean spirits, these sevenfold demonically possessed entities, these disembodied spirits. So I'm going to actually put a link in the description area underneath the video today when we're done, so you guys can go and you can take a look at the biblical scriptures that I just quoted.
And I think that, you know, it's important to look at this, because I'm not sure the precise Bible verse where it talks about God, where he tells them to genocide an entire town, where he says kill the women, kill the men, kill the children, kill them all. And that's one of the most misinterpreted Bible verses, and it's usually used for people who are trying to chastise and condemn Christians too, because they're saying, oh, why would a God that's benevolent do that? Well, it's because they're trying to illustrate the fact that this is a non-human race, that this is someone who is not, you know, not of a different culture, you know, of a different race, creed, and color. This is someone who is not, these are people who were not human, who displayed no human characteristics, who had no intentions of humanity. And that is why they were being genocided and being wiped out, because it is a genetic thing that we need to look at. One of the things that I've started to look at too in my own research is the idea of, well, we hear about it in the Bible as well, you know, before and after the flood, the fact that there were giants and Nephilim in those days. What if, you know, still to this day, some of the Nephilim and giant blood is still, you know, still with us?
I mean, look at, I mean, it came through the with Noah's daughter-in-law. That's how it came through. You know, we saw these inhuman, these giants, you know, Goliath, Gilgamesh, you know, I mean, all of these, there's because the Bible has been mistranslated and has been the books have been taken out, you know, it doesn't go into specifics, and for a reason. I mean, when I can remember back in school, back in my religion class, you know, we would get to the book of Genesis and it would say there was giants upon the earth. And I was like, whoa, back up. What are you talking about, giants? And the nuns and the priests used to just kind of, you know, brush me off, because frankly, I don't think they could answer it. But as I got older and I started going and reading the first book of Enoch, and, you know, the Apocrypha, and it started filling in and answering all these questions. Now I know that the fallen angels came down on on Mount Hermon, and that is where the tribe of Daniel, the missing tribe, went. And the tribe of Daniel is the tribe that they started mating with and creating these Nephilim. And this is also the tribe that the Antichrist is going to be coming from too. So it's quite interesting if you really do. It takes a lot of research, but, you know, look into Mount Hermon, which is located, by the way, on the 33rd degree parallel. Yeah. So, yeah. So I mean, they've been here, so they are still here. It's just the disembodied demons that I believe are going to be coming. Those are the ones that we, you know, the Nephilim have always been here. And the fallen angels are here too. We see them all the time.
Well, it's like I know they're still finding giant bones to this day, and they're still trying to cover them up. You know, that's why I was telling telling you before at the start of the show, to reference people like Steve Quayle and Tom Horn, where they talk about these types of things, where they talk about finding giant bones in Peru, finding giant bones in Mexico, finding giant bones in the deserts of the southwest of America, and where we get more tales of red-haired giants, and that's one of the things that people got to look at is history has been systematically rewritten to where people think most things are mythology. We're trying to break down the actual reality of joining a human and an animal together, because that's no longer mythology, that's no longer a myth. The idea of a manticore or a griffin or uh, I forget what it's called. Not a
all
Sagittarius.
of those, all of those mythological creatures that we were told growing up were, just stories. No, that was real. I mean, the demigods, the gods with the small g, Zeus, Thor, Jupiter. I mean, They were all gods, and they were all real human beings.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of what we're starting to see,
Minotaur.
and yes, minotaurs and centaurs. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's all kinds of different things like that we've seen, throughout our history, where they've tried to illustrate these types of things going on, and people, I know it sounds funny to dismiss it, but we're in the age to where anything can happen. We're talking about designer babies. We're talking about cloning. We're talking about the mixing of genetics. We're talking about uh, weird forms of population control, if you ask me, because I feel like what's going to happen is this is going to create epigenetic diseases and mutations throughout certain genetic patterns, and it's gonna be wild. It's going to be wild how many different ways this is going to affect people. How many different how far will this type of stuff go? Will there be morals? Will there be ethics? Will there be regulations? Will these types of creatures, these entities, will they want rights? Will they create a separate society? Will they even be able to be fertile? There's so many different questions that I'm looking at myself. So whenever the listener was asking, are these cloned and grown individuals, are they soulless? That's a very deep question, because then you've got to start asking, are these genetically modified individuals, are they human?
I
Are they
think a lot of it has to do with your faith, your faith basis. Okay, if you believe in God and you believe that He's the creator, then you have to believe that without His spark, here's where I kind of gets a little gray area. We know that life, contrary to what the crazies out there think, but life begins at the spark. Okay, when the cells, the male and the female cells come together, that's that instant, that spark, that's when life takes place, that's when life starts. The baby's born, it's not when it takes its first breath, it's that spark. So then you got to ask yourself, is an artificial spark still a spark?
ooh,
Where the spark comes from?
I wouldn't know what to tell you. It's
Yeah,
that gets
I don't
real
know.
deep, man, because you got to, what's the source material that they're using to try to clone? And I talked about this the other day. They're using skin cells, not stem cells, skin cells, to grow babies. So, like I said, where does the source material come from? Because I'm always leaving hair all over the place. I'm always scratching off dead skin cells somewhere. So was this a child of my choosing? Was
Right.
like there's so many different metaphysical and like there's so many different factors that come into play with that, because it's like, well, what was there a soul contract where I said it's okay for this child to be born because I decided to scratch my head whenever I was on the side of a mountain, and some technocrat was out there and found my genetic makeup and decided to use it. So it's like there's so many different ways that you got to look at this type of stuff, because
Mhm.
there's no one answer.
Well, you got to look at yourself. You got to look at this aspect of it. Once those skin cells fall off your body, do they still belong to you?
I don't know.
You know, do they
I
still belong?
don't.
I mean, these are These are fair questions.
No, you're
I
right.
mean,
Because one of the things I've started thinking about, and the Bible talks about this as well, the coming of the Son of Man, and I've thought that was for me that statement sticks out because it's like, well, what is the Son of Man? If we are the sons of God, or I mean, if angels and Nephilim are the sons of God, what is the Son of Man? Like, is that a robot? Is that one of these soulless creatures? Is it the golem that we were talking about? Like, what is the Son of Man? Because what are we going to create if we
right,
were created
right.
in God's image? What are we going to create?
Confusing for a lot of people because when you hear that term, uh, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the sons of man. Everybody believes that to be the coming of Jesus Christ, but we're
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
They're putting they at that point it's being put that he's underneath us, that we created him, and that's something that's always confused me. So you're absolutely right. What are they talking about in that passage? We assume or we believe or we've been taught or indoctrinated that means the second coming of Jesus Christ. But when you look at it, words have meaning, guys. Words have
Hmm.
very if you look at it, the way it's set up, the Son of Man would put him below us, and that's not how it is. It's not how it works.
Nope, it's not, and that's definitely one of the more influential statements in the Bible. Like I said, that's kind of got me fixated. Like, what do we create? What is the Son of Man? What are we going to produce? I mean, there's no way that we can reproduce something. There's no way that we can reproduce us. I mean, we keep ourselves going as a consistent system. People have the anatomy of the human being has been pretty consistent for the past 2,000 years. What else can we create that transcends that? And that's
Right.
and that's what blows my mind because whenever we start looking at this, all this transhumanism nonsense, what it gets back down to is they're trying to digitize the soul. They're trying to figure out how to recreate the human body, and there's no or the human soul, and there's no way for that. There's no way that they can play that much of God. They can recreate the exterior. They can use carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, potassium, and sulfur, however many times they want, and however many different combinations to create us. But I don't think there is some way to calculate the human soul or to digitize it, and that's precisely what they're doing. I mean, why else would we be talking about them trying to bring back the Nephilim? What was the first problem of the Nephilim? What was their transgression? They left their first estate and then they assumed bodies. And what did they do with those bodies? They succumbed to the flesh. They've made children. So you see, we're starting to we're starting to we're starting to basically perpetuate the cycle. We're seeing
Right.
history recreate itself. Sorry, I got mush mouth for a second there.
Those tacos.
It's those tacos.
Exactly. No, yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Now, here's something that I find kind of perplexing because now we're on the line of the Son of Man. I mean, what are we creating? Let's talk a little bit about what is it? The three parent child.
Oh wow.
Have you done any research on that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've the three parent babies is definitely that is a reality. That is
How
definitely
does that work? I don't understand how that works. That's like saying, okay, I'm going to have. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, we know that the union between a man and a woman, the X and the Y, is what causes a child. Where's that? Where I don't get it. I'm sorry.
these.
I mean, it's almost like having an extra hole that you know what I'm saying. Where does it go? Where does it fit?
Trust me, I'm just as confused as you. I think it's like one of those the same way people are like I'm a non-binary. I don't know where it goes from there type of thing. I really don't know. But whenever I looked into it, the best way that I could break it down was say that somebody say there was two males, one female. One of the males is kind of impotent. He's producing, but they're not necessarily sticking. So you take the other male who has, I guess, potent sperm, and then you take the cells of the male who has the sticking capability, and then you match it with the eggs, and that's what I was able to pull from it. I'm not sure if that's the
Okay,
actual
but here,
process.
okay, but here's the thing. Okay, say you have one female egg and you have two male sperms. Only one sperm can fertilize that egg.
I don't know, Lori.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, these are, like I said, these are fair questions. I want to, I want to know. I need to know. No, I mean, it's fair. I mean, we're dealing with things that we're not supposed to be dealing with. You know?
It's like I was saying before. This is gonna, oh, this is gonna create all kinds of different epigenetic diseases, like all kinds of different mutations, things that like we're not ready. I don't know. I'm not saying that we're not ready, but things that should not be. They're opening up
Right.
Pandora's box. This is creating diseases
Right.
and all kinds of sicknesses. I mean, we're shooting ourselves up with vaccines that already mess with our DNA. Then you start throwing in like three people's DNA and all kinds of other stuff. Then you start throwing in animals' DNA that's been cloned and grown. Where people people are, oh my gosh, people aren't looking at like how diverse all of this stuff is, the biochemistry of how all of
Where
this
do
stuff
these new,
accumulates.
right? Where do these new creations lie? I mean, okay, say you have a
Hmm.
baby that's born with, a pig's face and dog ears. Okay. And that baby gets, I mean, are you going to treat that with the rights and the privileges and the, you know, and I think what humans just decipher or look at is the soul aspect, getting not to get back to the whole soul thing, but I think that's what I think people use to just separate what is human and what is not.
Hmm.
Okay. Are you going to feel bad? Are you going to, it's a baby. I mean, I just delivered it, but it doesn't look like a baby, so that doesn't make it a baby. So I mean, it's okay. I can get rid of it. I can, it's not perfect. It's not, you know, it was born in a petri dish, so it doesn't matter. It looks like something's wrong with it. I'm just going to throw this one in the garbage and start over. You know what I'm saying?
That's unfortunately that's the sad truth of where we're at these days. I mean, we literally have people that are we literally have babies being made without mothers. They don't. That's why they're trying to mess with like all of our health. This as bad as they are, is because they're trying to depopulate us. They're trying to make us unhealthy that way that we can go to them and say, hey, I want to have a baby, and then we have to abide by whatever check rules they have or whatever they
Right.
tell us. And it's strange because we're just going right through it. I mean, this all of the stuff that's going on with Planned Parenthood. I mean, look at one of the major things that's been killing us is we're killing ourselves. Is it is abortion.
Yeah.
And it's wild because then you start throwing in all this stuff like, well, shoot, it's fine. I don't need to have a normal baby. I can just go down to the fertility clinic and they can find me somebody that has some swimmers on hold, and I can go grow
Right.
one. It's wild. It's wild the way we're going because people don't really think, what does this mean for life? If you haven't
Right.
looked around, people are having a genuine disappreciation for everything. We have like an anti-human agenda that we are just so about. We're selling our souls just for likes, man. We truly don't understand ourselves anymore. We had to at the start of the show we had to preface what I would consider interverse talk. Understanding yourself. We had to preface that as being witchcraft or something like that. When it basically gets down to you understanding yourself in
Yeah.
orientation to all the other things that they have going on. But because we have
Yeah.
been so systematically dehumanized and indoctrinated into this anti-human technocratic agenda, we no longer even want to procreate. We want to design babies.
And,
We're
and
not
that is,
fine with our own genetics.
I think that is the goal. I want you to pull up something again for me because you've got the screen share going. Let me hold on a second. Androgo. I'm going to send you on Facebook. Is that okay?
Let me hop on Facebook. There we go.
Okay. Paste. Okay. There is a right here. It's called it's androgynous future for Goy.
Oh,
Go ahead and pull that up. Yeah, I just a plethora of different things. Okay. Um, this is now everybody that knows Goy is what the call the non-Jews, the Gentiles. Basically, we are soulless animals that are deserve to be on the same plane as them. Okay, we're animals, and if you go down to right there, androgyny, goal of the occult. So a little bit farther down, a little bit farther down, past, yeah, right past that. There you go. It says in the Kabbalah, Adam, the primal or original male, is said to be androgynous. In other words, according to the Satanic Bible, man was created sexless.
huh.
And it says androgyny is presently being realized through progressive genetic and surgical manipulation. The plan is concerned with rebuilding mankind. That's from Alice Bailey's Secret Doctrine. The goal toward which the human species is the progressive reintegration of the sexes until androgyny is obtained. Involved beings tends towards bisexuality.
Hmm.
Um, right here. Initially, population control will affect everyone except the elite. Have been genetically engineered will be allowed to marry heterosexually and produce. Then human sexual procreation will cease as the Gnostics seek to produce race via asexual methods. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that the later times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, forbidding to marry. 1 Timothy 4:1-3.
This sounds like the quotes that you were reading beforehand. Uh, they definitely sound like Hitler's Übermensch. It definitely sounds like this is transhumanism written all over it. This is it's kind of scary when you start thinking about it, because you see it already. I mean, whenever you go to the store, you have to wonder whether or not this is a boy or a girl, and they already try to get offended whenever you quote assume their gender. So it's getting real strange. And then you look at you like we said before this with abortion, relationships, marriage, and things like that. Look at what's going on, and that's basically what it is an anti-human, devilish, satanic agenda, a Luciferian agenda, that Luciferian transhuman agenda. I mean, why why do we
Well, I
have Caitlyn Jenner? You know,
thing. If you look back on the origins, when God created man in His own image, Lucifer got very jealous, and right from the Garden of Eden until this very day, Satan has pretty much put us in his crosshairs to try to dehumanize, to destroy humans, just specifically humans, and um, to destroy us than to hit the family unit to try to
mm-hmm,
stop the reproduction of the human race.
mm-hmm. And I don't think people really see that. They really don't take the time to see like all of this, all this racial division, all of this gender division. The 31 different genders, like this is Baskin Robbins or something. I get it. Your gender defines you. I get it. Whatever you want to say, but your mom and your dad came here to come get you. So unless you're going to hop on this transhuman mindset to where you have to be genetically engineered so that you're allowed to procreate, that's where it's going. that's kind of where things are these days, is because we're seeing the separation of the family unit, of of man and woman. We're seeing this dissolve into something crazy, and whenever that happens, we're seeing people that don't necessarily want best for the future. I mean,
Right.
before I started getting really heavy into all this stuff, and I'll let you have it after this. Uh, uh, Before I started getting real heavy and all the research, all the factions of freedom, and all the podcasts and everything else that we're doing, one of my biggest disagreements with my rap team was that I wanted to invest something for my future. I wanted to create something for my kids who weren't even born yet, right? My team, they could care less. They have no ambition towards leaving a legacy, wanting a family, anything of the like that. And so obviously, this created the division, and here's where we are. The point I'm trying to make is that this mindset, this anti-human mindset, to where we don't want uh, to perpetuate the cycle, to where we don't want to leave something for our legacy, create something for the future. This is permeated in all kinds of different things. I mean, I'm pretty sure more people think about death than they do about life. I'll put it to you that way. And that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, is the mindset of death, to where people don't want to procreate and don't want to, uh, I don't know, be beneficial towards life, create something beautiful that we can all enjoy. You see, instead they want to take the shortcut. They want to use technology. They want to be genetically engineered. That way they're allowed to do these types of things. And it's strange, because then you're making that pact with this entity, this energy that has an anti-human agenda, that's truly using you, instead of the other way around. You've created this toy to be a tool, and now this tool is using you as a toy, and it's real strange. It's real strange and sad whenever you get down to the brass tacks of it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we were put on this earth for a purpose, and that purpose, is one purpose only, truly, and that is to and procreate. And we are seeing an attack on that. And I don't think when God told us to go out and multiply and procreate, he meant to create new creatures. And when he meant to that he told us, or that he meant to tell us to go out and create designer humans. I don't think that was at all in his plan. I don't think it is all, it's not natural. It is completely and utterly to the left, being, it's Satan's plan of robbing or counterfeiting the one thing that truly is of God, and that is creation.
Hmm. I definitely agree. I don't want to, and this is definitely not a plug to tell people to go out there and start finding, whatever's clever for them, and start procreating. And that's definitely not what we're saying. We're
No,
saying, that there is there's someone for everyone. Whatever all of this stuff is, whenever we're discussing ectogenesis, the motherless babies, growing children from test tubes, designer babies, whenever we're talking about this type of stuff, that shows you where we're at. That shows you that not only could you be that compromised with your health and your uh I don't know, genitalia, your procreation tools. I don't I'm not sure how to talk about this, but
I know. I've caught myself a couple of times when you're going, okay, how do I present this? And
I don't know, but it's weird, because all I'm really trying to say, guys, and I hate to sound like a technophobe because I love technology, is you have the capabilities naturally. Whatever technology is trying to scapegoat and shortcut, uh, biologically, we should not do. We should not use technology to have children. I'll put it to you that way. There is no reason you should be scanning any of my family jewels. I'll tell you that much. There's no reason I should be putting them on ice. There's none of that. And for the people that are infertile, I understand that some of these tools actually help. That's why they're there. But we've got to understand the overarching agenda is to basically phase out the idea of you being able to choose who you would like to procreate with, because they have a eugenicist mindset towards this transhumanist technocracy that they want to call the New World Order. And that's why they're
right.
trying to make you infertile. That's why they're trying to sterilize you through vaccines. That's why they're trying to fluoridate your pineal gland. That's why they're trying to do all these types of things to dehumanize you, because you are so powerful, because you are so beautiful. And that's why they have to ramp up their efforts, diversify their tactics, is because you are so powerful. So you don't need technology. Technology needs you. That's what you need to understand with all of this. And how does this tie into the days of Noah and Nephilim? Is because we're looking at how all of this is correlating. I talked about this before in a previous episode, where our history, guys, we have been lied to. There is some stuff going on that we don't know. I mean, look at what's going on with Atlantis. Or not Atlantis, and Antarctica, where there could be evidence of Atlantis, advanced technology, advanced civilizations that have been.
Nothing good is going on there. You can bank on that. There's
Oh
nothing
yeah.
good. Let me speaking of, while we're on this topic, because it goes in with it. If you guys remember our history books, and I'm putting this in quote, you don't see me, but my fingers are up. I'm putting this in history books. We were told that Hitler was trying to designer thing there, too, back during World War II. He was convinced that the blonde hair, blue-eyed Aryan race was the perfect race, and he was trying to genetically modify and trying to genetically sterilize humanity at that time period.
The Ubermensch.
And yeah. Now, if you take that one further, I do believe that Antarctica is kind of having to do with that, but I do believe it has something to do with the Vril.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked into the whole Vril?
Yes, actually.
Can you explain I don't know, maybe everybody doesn't understand or they don't know what we're talking about with the Vril.
There is the Vril energy and there is the Vril society. The Vril society it's kind of like Hitler's occult society, to where they looked at mediums, they did seances, they channeled, they said they came into contact with higher beings and things like that. The Vril energy that they referred to is basically the life force of the planet. What they would consider the life force of the planet, ambient energy that they try to tap into. Who is the Vril Society? How does this tie into the Nazis, Antarctica? Well, during, I think it was like towards the end of World War II, they tried to escape towards Antarctica, and that's where you can look this up. And this is disclosed information, where they went to the Nazi base 211. And this is where I think Operation High Jump came into play with was it Commander or Officer with Larry with Commander Byrd, I think it was, and Admiral Byrd, yeah, Admiral Byrd, and where he basically went there with a fleet, and this was for a research expedition, and the idea behind it.
Yeah, he went there with a scientific fleet, fled, and went back with military.
Yep, he came there with an aircraft carrier, I think 2 subs, multiple planes, and all kinds of.
For something that started out as a scientific expedition,
Yep.
He beat feet out of there pretty quick, got his ass back to Washington, told them what he found, and then took an entire Navy fleet back down there. So whatever it was he found down there was not friendly, not friendly at all.
And when he came back, they immediately tried to put him away in the loony bin. He kept a journal. He basically came back, said that we have got to figure out a way to fight an enemy that is able to fly between both poles in a matter of minutes. He said he made a few controversial statements. They wrote in his journal for a bit, and then they basically locked him away in a psych ward where they basically did not want him to disclose any more of the information. So the point behind all of that type of stuff, behind Operation High Jump, because this is information that you guys can look at, the agreed upon ending with World War II, us getting the scientists and the Russians getting the equipment, that's a lot. That's a very heavy statement. There's a lot of things that come in with that. The continuation of what we would consider the Fourth Reich in places like Antarctica, and even and this is something I'm still trying to work on myself, whether or not they escape to the moon and things like that. But the reality of the Nazis basically continuing their government as a breakaway society is very real. And how does this tie? I'm sure people are wondering, well, how does this tie into the Nephilim, the human animal hybrids, and things like that? Well, they were carrying out these types of techniques prior to the war ending. So if we're just now getting caught up on them, 60 years later, 60 to 70 years later.
They've had a 60-year head start, guys.
and
About it. I mean, if they did have this technology, which we know they did have the fallen angel technology. They did, Hitler did have all of this. If he did escape to Antarctic, I mean, are we looking at possibly a Jurassic Park in that area? I mean, could this possibly be something that we're looking at?
Maybe, maybe because and one of the episodes, the reason why I keep referring to this episode is because it's new. It's coming out this Friday, and I had this great conversation basically about all this stuff now, uh, in the episode with things like the Jurassic Park, with them trying to recreate what I would basically consider the conditions of the pre-flood uh, antediluvian time frame. If you ask me, like I said, all of this is just evidence of us perpetuating the cycle of history repeating itself. These are the same entities that have been in play for that time. And if it's not the same entity, then it's the same energies in which they draw upon,
Right.
the energies in
Right.
which they represent. And that's one of the things that's got me kind of baffled at this point. And I don't want to say so much simply because I don't want to disclose all kinds of information on here without giving you guys things to go off and go look at. But there's a lot that we have to look at whenever we're looking at just the idea of recreating the standards upon the earth that were pre-flood and post-flood. Even, there's all kinds of different things that we have to look at when we're trying to create people, create creatures. What are these soulless individuals? What were the Nephilim? Are they still here? Who and you guys have talked about this as well on your show, the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati, and how, like we said before at the start of the show, the truth, the soul is in the blood, the power is in the blood. The truth is in the blood, and people have really got to understand that genetics plays a huge part in this, a huge part in this. And that's why, if any, I'll say this, and I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt.
No, keep going. You're great.
I was going to say this, and I'll let you have it. But this is why, again, when we go back to Hitler and the continuation of the eugenics program, the Ubermensch, the Supermen or the Overmen, him looking for, well, who were they? The Aryan race, the superhumans. You see, and that's what he's trying to get at.
Yeah.
It's strange because obviously you guys are literally hearing me think live time and theorize live time about these different types of things that are going on, and it's hard to try to conceptualize it and put it into words, because what we're literally staring at is the creation of a brand new race to where we're being considered redundant or obsolete,
Outdated.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We're outdated. We're obsolete. We've run our course. It's time for the next phase to come in to play. And I think that's exactly what they're doing. Here's the thing is, we see it on the Georgia Guidestones. The 10 Commandments of the New World Order, and the first one being to reduce the population to a manageable 500 million. If they're to do that, that means that 90% of the population, 91 point whatever percent of the population needs to be extinguished. But it doesn't say that. That just says that humans need to be at 500 million. It doesn't say anything about anything else.
And they'll consider us subhumans. That you can believe that.
We already are. We're considered useless eaters, bottom feeders, goy.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Goyim,
when they're talking, yeah, when they're talking about the manageable 500 million for the human population, I think that's just the human. I don't think that has anything to do with these new humanoids that are coming out, or these designer babies, or designer whatever they're going to be called. I don't even know anymore.
I think a lot of.
I don't even think.
No, no, you're right. I definitely agree. I think a lot of what we're going to start seeing happening, the same way we see all kinds of different subsects and 31 different genders to however many different genders it is
Yeah,
these days.
wait, what, 31 different what is this, Baskin freaking Robbins? I mean, come on, people.
I don't
I
know,
mean,
Laurie. I have a girlfriend and I'm a guy. That's all I know. That's all I should know.
gosh, seriously, I don't get it. It's not Baskin Robbins, guys. This isn't rocket science. I mean, if you have a penis, you're a male. If you have a vagina, you're a female. Bottom, period. That's it. There's no. I mean, I do understand we do have the hermaphrodites that are born, and that's totally, uh, that is something that we do have, that is a real thing. But I mean, so that makes what, three, one.
Yeah, see, I don't know about all this, Laurie. I really don't know about all this, man. I'm telling you. Because all I know is
This
that a
old, I
snake is
don't right.
asexual and they can reproduce themselves, right? I don't trust snakes still. If that's the case, we got people over here trying to reproduce themselves like snakes. I don't trust that. No,
Yeah.
that's not normal. That is abnormal. I'm just call
That's
me,
not
hey,
what God put on this earth. God created man and he created woman. That was it. That is what, we were put out to procreate and to replenish the earth. I mean, we weren't put here. If Yeah, this is an old cliche, but God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. So,
it's true. I hate to sound, and this is
yeah, they
I'm
sound
sure we'll get
cliche.
some
Oh,
kind of comments saying I can't believe you guys are saying that, or
hey,
way to
here's
bash on people.
and I know I'm going to get the whole, judge not unless you be judged. If you got don't judge anybody because you got. Here's the thing, guys. Let me check it out. My son's gay. My daughter's gay. Okay, I think I have a say on what's gay and what's not. Okay, so I think I have the right to judge that. So. I have nothing against gays. I totally have nothing against gay, lesbian. I don't care. I don't care if a purple fucking dinosaur, excuse my, oh my gosh, I just swore. I don't care if a purple dinosaur, turns you on. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to put my head around this whole 30. I mean, it's not Baskin Robbins, guys.
Well, I'll tell you, we've talked about this as well. Uh, in a weird, and I'm just going to cut straight to it. Satan's extinction protocol. That's kind of what this is. The same
Yeah.
the same way I kind of look at all that gay, lesbian, transgender, 31 different genders. All those people they'll fizz out. Like a lighter, they'll fizz out. They'll have their moment of shine, and then that'll deal with that. They will not procreate. They will not continue. It is the people after that, outside of all these other people who are having these issues or these deformities, these psychological issues, however you want to call them, whatever is manifesting itself abnormally in society. All of that's going to take its place. With all these other LGBT things that are going on. Satan's extermination protocol, and then the other people outside of that, the people like just the guys and the girls who get it. Hey, man, who just want to be normal. They're going to see that all of that's going on, and then the next wave, which is where I think we're at these days, with splicing, with designer babies, and all of this stuff is going to take place as well. But the same way, all of this other stuff with the LGBT, 31 different genders, uh, Satan's extermination protocol movement, all of that will destroy itself. This is the same way I see all of this designer baby genetic modification destroying itself as well. There's only so many times that you can design something until you need another original. You see, so they can sit there and have
Right.
31 different genders the same way they want to have 31 different babies, but eventually you need to have an original to keep procreating. That's all I'm saying. I see both of these types of things playing the same end.
And this goes to the fact of evolution. We cannot have evolution because that totally defies the first rule of, what is it, thermodynamics. Things do not evolve up; they evolve or devolve down. We don't. away. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
We don't. What?
I definitely agree. I talk about this a lot too, or I've been talking about this with people a lot lately too. I feel like when you read the Bible, Jesus was not blessing people with a tentacle. Like I said before, our anatomy has been the same. The human anatomy has been the same for the past recorded history. Okay. we we have not sprouted a tail. You don't see Egyptian hieroglyphs where people have, tails and things like that. You see what I'm saying? So we've had the same anatomy for some time. What we've got to understand is there's so many different commonalities that we've got to look at, and whenever we're trying to distort the image of God, whenever we're trying to, if anything, go against that naturalness and wholeness, we're obstructing His view. Whenever we try to design bigger things, whenever we try to play God, whenever we try to, modify everything, we've seen how that happens. We've seen how
That
that plays out.
evolution just doesn't work because we do not evolve up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I mean, evolution does. It defies it's the second law of thermodynamics. Things, uh,
Oh, that's what it was.
energy falls. It goes into disorder. It doesn't go into order. It falls into, normally falls into chaos. So, I mean, it's, right. I mean, if we start out with baby Jane and we progressively, make different clones of her, we are essentially devolving every time we make another clone of that original baby.
Mm-hmm. And what I was trying to get at before too, I totally went off on a whole nother jag. But what I was trying to get at before too with the Bible is I definitely feel like it's trying to describe to us, if anything, how before, say, if anything, before the fall, obviously before the fall, we were at 100%. With each passing generation, we have lost our optimal percentage, our optimal way of operating. We've degraded, or we've devolved, so to speak. I wouldn't say we've evolved. I'd say we've devolved. We've fallen from our previous state, man. We were definitely a lot more glorious than we are now, and because of things like the generations and the generations of degradation, the generations of corruption, the generations of sin and wickedness, that takes a toll on everyone's soul and on everyone's on everyone's genes. You see, that's all I was trying to get at beforehand is with evolution. I don't think that's the case because, like I said, we've had the same anatomy for the past, recorded history, but I would say we're devolving in that aspect spiritually, and mentally and emotionally and physically.
Yeah. We're not even, or I mean, we're seeing it on a physical level, but we're also seeing it on a society level. I mean, we talk about this all the time, Robbie and I, and I think you and I have even talked about. I think you and I did the show. I can't remember who it was. It was you and I. I think we did the show on the attack on the family unit. I mean, we've completely lost in the past 50 years of what we used to be, and
Mm.
I think that proves right along, or it proves 100% that we are devolving as a society. So I know that transhumanism is truly is real. I know that now they're starting to be able to download our consciousness, our brains into machines. I think was that the movie with Tom Tom Cruise? Was it Transcendence?
I think it was Johnny Depp with Transcendence, where he uploaded himself into the computer.
Johnny Depp, Tom Cruise, same guy. um, See, we're seeing it in the movie Lucy. We're seeing it in Transcendence. And what they're doing is I think they're trying to going with that.
Desensitize it.
I was actually gonna. I don't even know why it just kind of went out of my head. The AI robot that they were talking to. Do you remember we talked about that? It was that the male robot, or the male AI, and he said that I'll treat you like I'll treat you good. I'll keep you in a box and I'll feed you and I'll water you.
That's a pet.
Basically, pet. And I truly believe that their goal is to depopulate to 500 million humans. I think that is, I think that's a pet population. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Um, one of the things I talk about a lot on the page, and in the podcast is the technocracy, Agenda 2030, and the sustainable development, and how that basically is the new world order. If they're trying to
Right.
keep a population underneath a certain number, and a computer can only handle so much information and so much stuff being inputted into it, the mark of the beast, they're trying to categorize everything that's going on. The Internet of Things, digitize society, digitize reality, encode reality in some type of weird way. But wouldn't you want a consistent number? That way you can have a base number and work off of that. Wouldn't you want to have whatever, anything, everything is going to be run by some kind of computer, right? Some kind of artificially intelligent, ever present system. Wouldn't you want to have a base number that you could always go back to make sure that this is maintained and to run all of your systems and everything off of that? Is that not a sustainably developmental society?
Exactly.
is
And
is
if you
that not
look
a
at
technocratic society? You see, that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely, and if you look at a lot of the books written, or a lot of scientific papers written on the whole elite utopia, what their idea of a perfect world is,
Hmm.
100 million are the slave population. So then you got to ask yourself, well, who are these slaves to? Is it the AI, or is it these genetically modified genetically modified beings that are coming? Is it the Nephilim that's coming? What is it that we are going to be the slave society to?
Well, Laurie, this uh, in this previous episode, organized specialist, like I was saying before, we were trying to give an identity to this multidimensional and interdimensional, ethereal, artificially intelligent force that is the energy that's powering all of the Wi-Fi, all of the Bluetooth, all of the ELF towers, all of the EMF towers, whatever is powering all of that, and is forcing us to engage it in some, I don't know, spiritually devolved, mentally devolved way. Whatever is driving that is what we'll be slaves to. And we talk about this all the time, being actively engaged on their distractions, because the minute that you separate from all of their distractions and you begin to focus on yourself and think, well, gosh, who am I besides this avatar, besides all of these likes, besides all of these shares, besides all of these thumbs up? That's whenever you start
Mm-hmm.
thinking, well, who am I outside of this system? What is this system? And then you'll probably just get back up on Facebook and see if anybody replied to you. But that's about as far as most people's thoughts go, because that's the force that is driving us. That's why we have got to fight it every day, because it is some kind of weird interdimensional, multidimensional energy that's driving this to say, hey, don't you want the latest phone? Don't you want more
Mm-hmm.
likes? Don't you want more attention? Don't you want this
Right
feeling?
back, take a full circle, EJ, right back to the techno sorcery.
Yep, precisely.
Right back,
Precisely.
right back to the techno sorcery. Opening those portals and allowing, our entire makeup, our entire being, related. And we're allowing it. We're choosing it. We are choosing it. I understand that, a lot of us, have the internet addictions. So, you got to look at that and say, well, okay, well, they can't help it. Get up every morning, and just like alcohol, just like drugs, just like any other addiction, you can break yourself away from that. But it's convenience. It's now a convenience for us. How people are like, I've been trying to call you all day. Why aren't you answering my phone? Well, because my phone's not attached to my hand. know, I don't have a zip cord where I walk out of the room and the phone goes zip right to my side. You know, I am capable of taking my phone, putting it down, and walking away from it. I was without a phone for 3 weeks. I mean, I had a phone, but it was basically a paperweight. I got to tell you, there was times that I was like, you know, jonesing for it. I was like, oh, I wish I had my phone right now. But you know what? For the most part, I loved it. I didn't have to worry about talking to people on the phone. I didn't have to worry about answering text messages. I didn't have to worry about, you know, I didn't have to. When I got up from my computer and I was done with my work for the day, I was done. At, you know, 10 o'clock p.m. fixed. I didn't have that, you know, getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to pee and checking my Facebook. I didn't have any of that. It was very invigorating. It was kind of, you know,
Unburdening.
it was unburdening. Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely know what you mean. You know, even whenever I have this problem too. You know, even whenever we use all of their tools, all of their things, you know, simply just to put out the truth and try to fight it back with light, you know, we still take on, you know, these burdens that they're still trying to put out. We still catch the waves of energy that they're trying to put out, the signals and directed energy beams that they're trying to put out. You know, we still get affected by all this negativity, even though we try to put out positivity. You know, and I have the problem too. It's gotten to the point to where I literally just put my phone facing down because I'll either have too many notifications or I'll have too many people trying to message me or I have emails going off or you know, this, that, or the third. And it's not that I don't want to talk to people, you know, it's that I need to sleep. We need to sleep. We need to
Yeah,
recharge our batteries, man.
I
This stuff
have
gets taxing.
my phone completely on silent, except for the ringer. I have no notifications going off on my phone. I have no vibrations going off on my phone. I have, you know, it is completely silent except for my ringer. And when I go to bed at night, I shut it totally off now. I used to put it on my bed on turn the ringer off and just set it face down on my nightstand. But I found that it was too easy, like I said, to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go pee, sit back on the bed, pick up my phone. All of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what the frig? Where'd the time go?
This is going to sound like a strange thing for people to do. And I just want to see, you know, for the people that are listening now and on the replay, you know, just check this out. If however long you know you're listening to this, turn your phone off, delete Facebook, delete Instagram, delete Twitter for 3 days. I'm not saying, you know, turn your phone off because you definitely still got things to do, but get rid of your social media apps for 3 days. And then, you know, just see what happens with that. See what happens with your time, what you'll invest it in at that point. And if you start seeing that you use your phone less, maybe drink more water, eat less food. What am I trying to get at? I'm trying to say separate yourself from this artificial source of energy and see what happens whenever you actually hear what you deserve, hear what's supposed to be given to you. Because this energy that we're talking about how this siren song, this lull of technology, how it's pulling you in and using you to create it. But what happens whenever you separate yourself from it and then you start to look inside yourself? That's all we're saying is
Mm-hmm.
delete your three most popular apps or the three most used apps that you do, and then, you know, kind of cut back on your diet. If you're eating cheeseburgers, man, eat up, you know, have a few tacos. They're really good. Uh, ease up on the burgers and tacos and change your diet for those 3 days that you have those apps deleted. And then when you download it again, record how you feel and see the difference.
I do a internet fast quite a bit, and you know, I kind of one coming up only because like I said, well, no, I mean, you and I talked about it. I do believe it's a spiritual attack. I do believe it's not physical. I don't believe what I'm feeling is physical. Um, you know, but I feel it's more of a spiritual, you know, and I've taken a step back and I've looked at what has changed in my life in the last 2 weeks, and it's been nothing. Nothing's changed. I haven't done anything different. The only thing different I'm doing now is I'm going to the gym.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Dave bought me a membership for the gym for Christmas, and yeah, I've been going to the gym. I could go to the gym every day. I've been walking on the treadmill. You know, I'm on a paleo diet now, and you know that is the only thing I've changed for the better, not making me feel like I'm being under this physical or not even, yeah, physical and spiritual attack. You know, I mean, waking up out of a sound sleep with my heart racing in my chest, you know, feeling like I'm in a panic mode, attacks, blood pressure through the roof, nauseous, can't sleep,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I truly think I'm coming up on another internet fast. So if
Well,
I
what's
disappear
weird?
for a couple of days, you'll know where I am.
Well, what's weird is we were talking about this before the show, how you had suffered your attack, and then how like 2 3 days later, and I told you before, I meant to try to contact you about it and tell you, but it was the same kind of scenario. Like I went for my morning run, and I literally came back fine. I even proceeded to have an interview with Billy Carson, the Forbidden Knowledge, that same day, and it wasn't until I literally got done with the run, the interview, uh, got done doing all the editing, et cetera, et cetera. It was like I got hit with a wave of just of pain, like boom, debilitated. My equilibrium came off. I started feeling kind of nauseated. I was wobbly all over the place, and then
Yeah.
like 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, boom, it's sensitivity to light. Like I had to sit down. I had to turn off all the lights in the house.
Mhm.
Boom, like another hour later, I started throwing up. I had to call into work. I'm saying I don't know what this is. I'm eating fine, and it
Mhm.
was just weird because it was the series of attacks that happened, but it was in
Yep.
such a short amount of time. Because I remember looking at your post, asking you like, "Is everything okay?" And
Yeah,
then
I remember. Yeah.
it was just weird, the synchronicity of it. So what I'm basically trying to say is
You know, it's not the only one.
information.
I had many, 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 many people messaging me last week saying that they were feeling the same thing. And it was weird because you said it was almost like it was if I were to draw a line on how the attack felt, it would be up and then down and then up and then down, because it was like the attack would come and then all of a sudden it would peak and then it would go back down. I'd be okay for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it would peak again, and then I would come down and I'd be okay again, and then for a little while, and then all of a sudden it would come peak again. And it was like that for a week, a solid week, and
What do
it's
you think
still.
it
I mean,
is?
2 days. I don't know. 2 days ago, I woke up laying in bed. My head just wouldn't shut off. It would not shut off. But I do have a lot on my plate. I do go down some rabbit holes that I probably shouldn't go down. Um, I try to, I start out my day every day, reading the word, and starting out with prayer and ending it in prayer, and, keeping, asking for protection before I do anything. If I get a bad feeling for something that I shouldn't be researching, that I take that as the Holy Spirit telling me not to do it. you know so I mean, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I feel like I'm keeping my end of the deal up here, being a watchman. But there's something going on, and I'm not the only one feeling it. I know, like I said, you are. And I've had many people contact me this last week saying they're feeling that same thing.
I'll put it to you this way. I'll put it to you this way. Out of I've done, I think, like 3 videos this year, and it's only February, right? 3 videos and a few episodes. Out of the 3 videos I've done, two have been on this topic, on chimeras, and crossing species, and the other one has been on Lucifer's Loose Legion. And the idea behind that is that all those demons that were released in 2016, with After School Satan, the International Satanic Temple, the Satanic churches, and all the other things that they're doing, all of those demons are still loose. And the very same people that were exposing them at the end of 2016 and continuing into this year, we're marked. I see that. I feel that. I definitely feel a lot more. I sense a lot more turmoil.
Mhm.
It's definitely not like we literally came into the episode saying this is a continuation from 2016. Things have intensified. You can feel it.
It is. It is, and I do believe that this year is going to be very significant when it comes to the timeline that we are on. The end times timeline. I do think that, being in the year 5777, which is the Hebrew year, 7 being the number of completion, 8 being the number of new beginnings, Plus, we're also in a Jubilee year. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot going on this year.
Mm-hmm. There definitely
You know,
is.
to get your houses in order and to solidify the foundation that you have in your faith, whatever that faith may be. I'm not saying that it needs to be the same faith that I am. We have an old saying when I used to go to AA meetings, NA meetings, make your, just pick a higher power. We didn't care if it was a doorknob. Just pick something that you have is your higher power.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer that you picked, the Most High. That's what I would prefer that you do. I would prefer that you pick up a Bible and that you get your foundation solidified in the Most High in Jesus Christ. But I mean, that's my preference for you. Your preference for you is probably different, or it could be different, and that's your prerogative.
And I think that's a lot of what we're going to start seeing. Uh, this a lot of this year, man, is there's a lot of heavily spiritual undertones to a lot of things that are going on, and I see fake compassion. I see religion trying to co-opt things. I see a lot of different things happening, and
Mm-hmm.
it's both good and bad because this is gonna wake a lot of people up. It's gonna wake Christians up. It's gonna wake people who have been asleep in these wolves' dens for so long,
Right.
see who's actually been ministering to them. This is also going to give people like a chance to win souls. This is going to give people like a chance to shake off the shackles, to peel off the blinder, to look behind types of things and really realize, like, am I getting the word of God, or am I just listening to somebody that's narcissistic? Am I listening to somebody that just wants another, $5 from me? Do they care about
Yeah.
my spiritual salvation? Do they care about, me having a sound
Exactly.
mind? And I think a
Flip
lot
side.
of that's a lot of that's going to be happening this year. But at the
Yeah.
same time, on the flip side, we're also going to have people who are being sucked into this new world order faith, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
uh,
absolutely. See it every
and
day.
that Yeah, and that's going to be something else entirely that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to see the awakening for sure, but we're also going to be seeing more of that falling away.
Absolutely. And we're going to see a lot of, brothers turning against brother, households turning against households, husbands against wives. We saw it during the election. We saw it with the politics. My son and I we haven't talked since the election. So I mean, we are seeing that. I want to, I gotta say, I don't know how we do it or how you do it, but it seems like you have something on the screen for everything that I'm thinking throughout every one of our broadcasts. Screen, you have scientists aiming to create human pig hybrid to harvest organs. How ironic is it that the scientists are trying to create a being that is both human and pig, a creature that Jesus put the demons into? How
Hmm.
odd is that? I don't believe in coincidences. What about you?
Not. I don't know. No, no, no. I don't either. And I think
Yeah.
there's some spiritual implications to that as well. Or if you ask me,
Mm-hmm.
some spiritual implications. I mean, pigs, they eat anything. They eat dead people. They eat bodies. They eat the bodies.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then
Clean
all
them.
those toxins, all of those germs, all of those all of those things that are in there, they're in that pig. And then you're eating that. You're eating the all the filth, all that gross,
All the impurities. Yeah.
all the impurities. And
Yeah.
that's why Jesus put it in the pig, is because those things were already inside of that pig, and that spirit could handle it. It could
And
handle
they
that
were and they were told that they weren't allowed to eat pigs, so they were
because
allowed
they're
to eat
unclean.
pork. So, right. So he figured if he put it into an animal that had no, there was no chance that anybody was ever going to consume that animal because it was a forbidden animal. And now what
Hmm.
do? We have our our bacon and our pork chops, but I just think it's ironic that scientists create a human pig hybrid to harvest organs. Kind of interesting there. Kind of interesting. Well, EJ, we
Well, this is what, the first episode of 2017
it is.
that,
It
that
is.
we've been on.
And you know what? I did invite you for Tuesday nights. So we're going to have to get together and we're going to have to decide and commit to that. But one first night that we simulcasted Revolution Radio onto our YouTube.
How was it?
Oh, it was great. There was some technical difficulties. We are supposed to start at 10 o'clock Eastern, but we didn't start till 10:30. Liz was having a little bit of difficulty with her Skype, so one of the other producers came on and he did it. So we didn't get on, and we only had 90 minutes instead of 2 hours, but we got through our information, and it was good. We're gonna get better. I'm not used to radio. I'm used to having the visuals. I'm used to talking and showing and teaching people like that. So I'm green when it comes to this whole trying to use my words to paint the picture without the pictures. So, but EJ is going to be joining us on I'm not sure which Tuesday night of the month for Paranormal Tuesday, and we're going to be talking a lot more about this stuff. The information we're putting out here, and you've got some other things that we're going to be talking about, actually paranormal things, right?
Yes, yes. Outside of doing all of this other crazy stuff that I'm up to, uh, I do paranormal investigations.
Right.
I look into strange things that are going on around my my city, and there's definitely some strange things
I
going
was
on.
I was just going to say, I know where you live, Mister, and there's some strange things going on there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. From I, I'll put it to you this way. Just the other week, I was on location at a place, and I was working on a video um, about the holographic universe, and I felt something come up to the back end of my head on my right ear, and kind of hum in a sing song fashion. Uh, a weird tune, a weird tune. It freaked me out. I grabbed my camera, I start recording, and basically the only reason I'm recording is to basically ward off the spirit. And you hear it in the actual, you hear me in the actual video where I'm like, so I'm just acknowledging your presence right now. I'd like I'd like to let you know that this is my space. Uh, I know that this is your home. I'm just letting you know I acknowledge your space. You hummed in my ear. I'm letting you know I acknowledge. Like, it was weird. And then there was a few other instances while I was there, and this went on for another 2 hours. 2 hours, and I was only able to get, I think, about 15 minutes worth of footage. But there's a lot of strange things going on these days, and that's actually one of the cases I want to share on your show whenever we get that date figured out. That's one of the cases that I want to kind of chronicle with your show. That way, your listeners can kind of get a feel of the types of things that are going on, and people's experiences as well. Because while I'm also doing these cases, I also do the paranormal perspective, where people send in their stories of the paranormal and strange things that have
Yeah.
happened to them.
How's the reception been on that? I've noticed you put up a couple of posts on ESWG for that. Have you gotten a lot of response?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I already have like basic. I'm Just the other day I was trying to figure out, like, what schedule should I choose for the paranormal perspective. Should I do one every other month? Should I do it like every, I don't know, like every other week? Like, how should it work? Because the amount of responses that I'm getting from people, and the diverse stories that I'm getting are just kind of, they're crazy.
Wow.
They're definitely crazy. I've seen people on ESWG that have said, they've said certain stuff like, oh, this is demonic, or that's this is communing with spirits. And to that degree, all I can really say is, people don't really have they don't some people don't really get the choice or the chance to fight these things off that come their way anyway. They don't get
Right.
the choice to say, hey, am I demonic because these things are coming to me? Am
Mhm.
I demonic because I can see these things? Like, these things have been interacting with me my whole life. And
Right. And to sit there and to call somebody and say, I mean, because I know that you get chastised. You get chastised and say, we're not supposed to be talking about this. We're not supposed to be looking into the paranormal. We're not supposed to be having anything to do with it. Well, and to me, that's denying it. And just because you're going to deny it does not make it real.
that makes it that much stronger, truly. Uh, and that's one I've actually had to have like a sit down conversation with one of the owners of one of the properties I was at when I was talking about some of the psychic effects, leaving psychic impressions, leaving emotional impressions in
Mhm.
certain locations, and how when you do certain things like that, uh, you shine a light on. You attract these entities, like we said before, with these energy vampires, with even with the pigs. It's the vibrational state in which these things operate, the energetic mindset in which these things left, the psychic impression in which these things left. That's why these demons, you don't, man, people that are filled with light, people that are beautiful people, they have, you don't see possession ever taking place in their life because they're
Let me
surrounded by
tell you
light.
something. If
But
this
it's,
stuff wasn't real, if this stuff wasn't real, then Jesus never would have given us power over them. He never would have given us, he never would have talked about in the Bible and told us that have we have power over these entities. If that wasn't the case, and if they weren't real, or we weren't supposed to, or he knew that we were never, you're never going to deal with it, so I don't have to tell you. But he didn't. He told us that we have dominion over them. He
mm-hmm.
told us that we have power over them. He told us that we have the ability to cast them out because he knew that we would encounter them at one point.
And people really would be surprised too, whenever you actually do, when you invoke the Lord's name and you actually say, I cast you out in Jesus' name, it actually does have effect. I mean, there's a lot, and I talk about this as well in some of my occult world videos. There's a lot of different ways to handle these types of spirits, because there's the hierarchy is massive. That's why you've got to identify these spirits, because that's the only way you can command them. And yes, you can command them to leave places. You can consecrate the ground. You can bless places. You can combat these entities because they're very real. And if you, I swear, if you try to if you try to act like they're not there, you're giving them that much more power. What is
Right.
being in a state of ignorance is also allowing for more of that to take place. And if you don't confront them, if you don't let your purpose be known as to why you're there, and all I'm saying, guys, is you've got to know your power, know your righteousness, pray up, and whenever you go into certain places, listen to your intuition. If you think
Hmm.
something's wrong, you should probably listen to yourself more than you're listening to society, because society is telling you this stuff does not exist. Society is telling you to ignore your spiritual side, and that is not what you should do. If you do that, you make yourself that much more
Never,
vulnerable.
ever ignore your gut. Never, your gut's never wrong. Don't ever ignore it. If you're in
No.
a place that's telling you to get out of it, you have a little voice in your head saying, get out, get out, get out, go. Don't ask questions. Don't look around. Don't try to rationalize it. Just
Mm-hmm.
it's there
Because
for
you can get hurt. Trust me, like you definitely can get hurt. And that's why I was trying to say, I think I might have been a victim of some of the things that I was taking care of this weekend. And I think some of there's a lot of different factors that come into play when you're looking at the spiritual world, and that's why I wanted to contact you immediately after your attack had happened, because I had felt I felt like I felt your pain, and then like I said, 2 days later, I myself received this type of pain, and it's weird because you can get hurt dealing with this type of stuff, and it's not going to be immediate. It's going to be whenever you're at your most vulnerable, whenever you're not thinking, whenever these types of things do just occur. It's very real. That's all I'm letting you guys know. So
Can I ask you okay, can I ask you like a professional question?
what's up?
Because okay, this started for me really. Now everybody that's watches the channel, they know that I'm planning a trip to Washington DC.
Ooh.
I am going down there with a very good friend of mine who covered the Bilderberg 2012. He's going to go down there with me, and Damian Maynard is going to go with us. And we're going to go down and we're going to investigate this Pizzagate. We're going to sneak around. We're going to do this. Now, weeks ago, I put out a video, and my channel was taken down from James Elefantis. The complaint came directly from him. told me exactly who the complaint was. It was James Elefantis. He filed a complaint saying that we were bullying and harassing him for putting out a video that didn't even belong to us. It was just a re-upload. Did not belong to us, was not our work, was not our words, was not our nothing. It was just, we just mirrored it. Took our channel down for 3 months. Now,
Wow.
we can't live broadcast on the other channel until April 21st, which is fine because we have a backup channel. But after that is when I started, people have started sending me all kinds of stuff for Pizzagate. I have recordings. I mean, some pretty horrific recordings. Some pretty graphic pictures that they've been sending me. Is there a way, or is there a possibility that this could be what I'm feeling is just the energies from these victims?
From the victims or from the actual oppressors?
So do you think that James Elefantis, because I know James Elefantis is probably a high satanic
figure.
A figure. I do believe that. Do you think that maybe, because you had mentioned earlier that you thought that I was a targeted individual. Mm-hmm. And I told you that I thought I was from the 2014 attack that I had. But what is funny is I haven't had any residuals from that 2014 attack. This just started recently.
Well, if this, like I said, because of what we talked about prior to the show, and because of what I have learned is your ongoing interaction with these Luciferians and with these Satanists, I wouldn't doubt it, because you, like we said at the start of the show and before the show as well, and throughout this show, listen to your gut. And if your gut is telling you you need to go on a spiritual fast and on a technology fast, then that's probably telling you that somehow, in some way, whatever this form of energy is, it's not these trolls, it's not this anonymous force, it's this James Elefantis, it's this lie killers, it's this whatever force they're from, might be interacting with you, because you're always hitting it on the head, Laurie. You're straight taking it to them, and that's obviously going to tick them off. And if you're someone that's spiritual, well, what's another way to get you? If you're on your backup channel, you're you're already back at it again. What's another way for them to get you? You see?
Yeah, I guess I've kind of, this is what I've been feeling for the last couple of weeks, but I haven't really had anybody to talk to about with, I guess I just didn't want to give it power. I didn't want to admit it, that this is probably or could be the possibility of it, because I'm not going to stop the investigation. I'm not going to cancel my trip to DC. This is all set, ready to go. We're just waiting on some more funding to come in. So, because we have the fundraiser up for the channel, which kind of got taken down. Hold on a second. Yeah, I got somebody asking me for that. Hold on a second, guys.
So what is this? You guys are going to? You're actually.
I can't talk too much about it.
Understandable.
Okay. All I can say, because I kind of spilled the beans on it a couple of weeks ago, and my friend called me and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it. I just started telling our plans." It was set up for a certain date. It has been, because of my big mouth. But yeah, we're planning a trip to Washington, D.C. I am going to try to get a meeting with some of the Washington officials there. I don't know who. I have a couple listings of a couple people that I need to contact to try to get a meeting with them to about this whole Pizzagate thing. And we're going to do a little bit of nosing around. That's all I can really say.
That's I'm gonna just have to basically call you every night to make sure that you're still alive.
As the guy that I'm going with is very, very well in the security business. I can't really put too much out there. He's very, you don't have to worry about me with him. Put it that way.
I'm just saying.
And my phone will. This will be the one time my phone will be attached to my hand. Excuse me, because I do know that everybody's going to be calling me and wanting updates and everything and making sure that I'm okay. And we will be doing live Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to do live broadcast because that'll kind of give people, they'll know where we are. um,
Well, no, I
but
mean
we're
you could
still,
still do shows where you call in and just say, all right, so this is what we've talked about. Here's a quick update, bop 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 bop
yeah,
bop,
that's
and
probably
then
what we'll do. And then do a live show from the hotel room that night with audio or video that we've taken. He's got all of the audio and video equipment that he's taken with us, state of the art equipment. So
that's what you
yeah,
call natural investigations. That's good. That's boots on the ground investigation. That's real investigations. That's awesome.
yeah. So yeah, we're going to be doing that, and here very soon. Like I said, we're still waiting on some more funding. I did put the PayPal in the chat room if you guys want to uh, donate to that fund. That would be greatly appreciated. I will let you know that I do have somebody donated to me buddy passes for my flight, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm in the process of somebody else is looking to donate. Um, what is it, Hilton points? I think that's what it's called for our motel room. So
Everything helps. It
yeah,
really does.
it does. Everything helps. Prayers even, So, but
And this
yeah,
is just
so
the
we're gonna.
start too. This is just the start of these types of investigations. If you look at it that way,
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna continue to be the voice of these victims, and I'm not going to stop it. I am in contact with another large YouTube channel called for an uprising. Him and I have gotten to be very good friends, and we've been talking back and forth, and he's very much on it too. He's not going to let this go either. Um, his sister was murdered, and he's taken this personal. Let's put it that way. He's taking this personal, and he's doing a kick-ass job. He took a vacation for about a month or so because it was really getting to him. He needed to take a break. But if you guys don't know it yet, A Call for an Uprising is back. So go check out his channel and show him some support over there too. So
I actually
good
I
guy.
actually checked out one of his videos on the human animal hybrid situation as well.
Mm.
He was thoroughly disgusted.
Yeah. He's
Thoroughly
a
disgusted.
very passionate man who is just he lets a lot of it get to him, and I've told him we had our conversations. Uh, I try to get him to laugh and to lighten up when we're talking. I try not to talk too much business with him because he has enough of that. We just try to talk as friends. So, but yeah, he's another one that's definitely supporting our trip there, and we're going to keep in contact with him too along the way. Maybe get on a broadcast with him while we're out. So
I've definitely tried to contact him after we had the show about Pizzagate, the tip of the iceberg. I thought it was very. He had that crazy correlation of how Marina
that's right.
Abramovich.
You were on the panel with him. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he made the correlation of how Marina might actually be related to Aleister
Crowley.
Crowley. I'm not sure if he followed through on that, but I thought that was ooh
Yeah,
crucial,
I don't know.
crucial.
So, well, EJ, thank you, dear. I absolutely, I hate ending our shows because I have such a good conversation with you. I love talking with you. But yeah, if you guys enjoy EJ and you like some of the topics, go over and check him out. Where can we find you, EJ?
Oh wow, I am these
The
days.
list is probably where can't we find you?
You won't
No,
find me on
where can we find
Twitter.
you?
I'll tell you that much. You won't find me tweeting and chirping. But these days, you guys can basically find me on Instagram and Facebook always. Um,
Mhm.
Daily news. You can find daily news on Instagram and Facebook. You can find all of our archived episodes on Mixcloud. I am proud to say that we recently were able to get ourselves onto iTunes and the Google Play Store, and you guys can look for Factions of Freedom. And if you don't
Oh,
want to,
how did you do that?
oh, with Blog Talk Radio actually, and a few other things. I'll tell you after the show. Um, and if you guys don't want to do all that and you don't want to do all that clicking around, just go to the website factionsoffreedom.gemdo.com and you can get the most recent episode, both audio and video format, because people like to do stuff on the go all the time. I understand you don't have time to sit down and watch an hour long documentary like us weird folks. I get that. But yeah, check out our website, check out our Instagram and Facebook, and enjoy the content.
Excellent, excellent. I'm going to put all of those links that you can find EJ in the description area below the video. Also, EJ is a editor over on Exposing Satanic World Government, so you can find him there, and you can find him at Factions of Freedom on Facebook also. So I'm an editor for you, and you're an editor for me. So
it only makes sense. I wouldn't trust anyone.
It does. Ditto, my friend, ditto.
I really wouldn't.
That room for joining us, and if you are listening to the rebroadcast, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to allow us to come into your homes and spend this time with you. And you can find Robbie and I every day on Exposing Satanic World Government. You can find us over on the Underground Resistance Network, both on Facebook. You can find us at the Hebrew Israelite, the Ultimate Hebrew Israelite Awakening. Let's see, where else can you find me? You can find me on Twitter, only because I have my Twitter set up with YouTube. So as soon as we go live, it automatically tweets. I don't do that. Yeah. Find us on Tuesday nights over at Revolution Radio for our show, One Step Closer, which EJ is going to be coming on Tuesday nights. Not sure which one. Maybe the third Tuesday of the month for Paranormal Tuesday with us. So. Amy.
Thank you for having me, Laurie. It's always a pleasure.
All right, hon. We will talk with you soon.
Have a great evening, team. Underground Resistance Network team. You guys have a fantastic evening, day, whichever time you guys are listening. This is Noise Era, Freedom Faction, out. Powerful as always, and those are one of those episodes you're definitely going to want to replay, because even though we reiterate a lot of the things throughout the entire episode, it's one of those ones where it's good to hear the conversation about these types of things that are going on, because a lot of people don't understand them. A lot of people think this is kind of strange, and we did kind of get off the trail a bit about what the actual Nephilim were and all the other things that we were going to do. But whenever you start looking at all these types of things, guys, it really does become all-encompassing. As she said before, we are going to work out the Paranormal Tuesdays because there are other things that we are working on besides the podcast. But that's all I have for you guys, and I'll have some of the links that we discussed in the actual episode below in the description bar. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll have it in there as well. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact Laurie, because I know she's always available, or she'll make herself available. But that's all I have for you guys. This is Noise Era, Freedom Faction, out.